Well, good morning, good afternoon. For some of you, good evening. I just saw somebody mention they're here from China, which you could be anywhere from like 10 to 13 hours ahead of where we're at. So for you, it's midnight or around that time. So welcome everybody. Glad you guys are able to join in. We're going to be doing some dream interpretation today, and I am looking forward to that. While you guys are getting on, I know we've been able to get a couple comments from YouTube. Once you guys get on to some of the Facebook channels as well, make sure to go ahead and put your comments. We should be able to see those on the screen, and we'll be trying to interact with some of those. We've got some people on here from San Diego, so let us know where you're coming from, where you guys are going to be listening into, and we're going to jump into this. We're getting ready for a nice winter storm here in Texas, which is interesting. Those of you that are a little bit north of us, you would not consider this much of a storm. I lived up in Ohio and in New England for a while, and I'm looking at the weather, and the big issue really is the ice. We could get up to half an inch of ice in some places. That's going to create some difficulties. We're getting like 2 inches of snow. I've got friends that are still up in Boston, and they got something anywhere from 17 to 30 inches of snow last week overnight. So a significant difference, but it's amazing how things can affect different places. Let's see, we've got Ohio, we've got Bronx, we've got India. Welcome. Glad you guys could join in. Florida, North Carolina. Berta does not like ice. I don't like ice on the roads, but I had one time I was doing some ministry up in the northern part of New York State and going up through the mountains, and there had been an ice storm that had come through, and all of the trees had been coated with ice. The sun was shining through the trees. It looked like everything was covered in diamonds. It was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in nature. It was astounding. So normally I don't like ice, but man, it can sure be beautiful when it hits in the right way. Let's see, we've got Canada, welcome. Virginia, we've got England, UK, welcome. Let's see, Colorado, we've got Texas. Well, welcome. So glad you guys are able to join us. We're going to jump into, we're going to start doing some dream interpretation, and let's see where this ends up. And Berta's saying she didn't like ice because she's fallen twice and injured the right arm. Yeah, no, it's not fun sliding. That feeling of not being able to control what's happening. It's one of the human fears that is a major issue for us in lots of different situations, and it becomes very obvious when we start slipping on ice and we can't stop ourselves. Well, let's see. Proverbs 31 put in a dream. Let's see, says, see a schedule. So I see a schedule with a meeting with a guy that I know on it. The next scene, he's coming, and I look out my window and see him in his red car with his top down. He's got cap and glasses. He's in front of my childhood home. And so the question really to figure out this dream is figuring out what this guy would represent. So you're going to want to look at what your relationship with this particular person is. Is he a leader? Does he have a particular position? When you think of him, are you thinking about a particular gifting that he has? The way that you interacted, is he just somebody that you know slightly, or is he somebody that you know well? All of those are going to tie into what he would represent in the dream. And then, whether or not does he actually have a red car, a convertible red car? If he does not, then you're going to put a lot more meaning on the convertible red car. I'm going to assume that he actually does not have a convertible red car in waking life. So that's how I'm going to look at this dream. So this guy, whatever this guy would represent, he represents something in the dream. It's not actually about him. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of the way that the metaphor works in this. One, childhood home, Clearly, he's not going to be meeting you at your childhood home. The fact that he's coming in this car, this red car, that being symbolic, I'm pretty sure that one is symbolic. Those pieces say that this is not about this particular person, but about something that he represents. So once you have that, and you can go a little bit more in depth into what people might represent we've got a whole chapter on that in the Dream Elements book. But then you take a look at, there's an appointment. So there's a schedule, there's a meeting. So there's a destiny there. It's something that's been appointed that's going to happen. So something that's been planned. Maybe it's not by you. You're not making the appointment. You're not writing it down. You're just recognizing that there's something strategic about what this person means coming to meet with you in some way. The red car usually talks about wisdom, the fact that the top is down. There's nothing between the person and heaven. So there's this open heaven. There's this opening to heavenly revelation, heavenly wisdom. So that talks about some kind of heavenly wisdom that's going to be coming. And it's specifically about some things that started in your childhood. So a childhood home, usually when that shows up in a dream, it's generally talking about something that started from your childhood, from when you were the age that you were living in that home. It could be about a family inheritance, something that's in your family, but usually when it's more about the family, there'll be at least one other family member somewhere in the dream. This doesn't see that there's somebody else there. So it's probably more about you and your childhood than it is about a family issue. And so God has set an appointed time to bring to you through someone else heavenly wisdom about some issues from your childhood that you need to know about. That's a fun dream. All right, let's take a look. What do we have next? Daryl Thomas. Welcome, Daryl. Glad you joined us. Let's see. I dreamt last night of black cats attacking me and a man siphoning like gas from a car, but from my thigh. I woke up 4 a.m. feeling a little pain in my inner thigh. So the thighs can represent your strength. The biggest muscle in the body that is in the thighs. So it's your ability to stand. Your strength can represent faith. And so there's some kind of an attack, and this attack is coming through witchcraft. Black cats often represent some type of witchcraft that's going on. So there's some kind of manipulation, witchcraft that's been trying to steal your strength. Now, the other thing, reason why I'm going towards strength for this is because the idea of siphoning like from a car, because you would siphon gas out of a car, which is the power to move forward. And so this is an attack from the enemy that's trying to siphon off, steal your strength to be able to move forward in what God has given you. Now, a couple different things on this. You woke up feeling some pain in your inner thigh. So this is not necessarily something about the future that's going to happen as much as it is something that's going on right now. There was a witness in the natural letting you know you're feeling the effects of this. Now, whether you're aware of it or not, because sometimes this is a kind of a spiritual thing, if you ask the Lord to show you, you will recognize how the effects of this have come into your life, and that will give you the direction to pray. Begin to pray and ask the Lord to remove this issue. Lord, the enemy is attacking me. Manipulation and witchcraft. Our fight is never against flesh and blood. So even if you recognize the person that's coming through, that's not who your fight is with. Your fight is with the demonic powers that are behind it. And so coming to the Lord, the enemy is attacking me, trying to steal my strength. Thank you that you have given me the strength to accomplish everything that you've called me to do. Help me to have that strength and to implement that strength and to fulfill the purpose that you've given me for my life. So those are some things. You could probably dial that in a little bit more specifically, because you probably know what some of those things that you're called to do are. So that is that dream. Let's see. This is from Ami Aguyo. Aguayo. Boy, I love being able to hear people's names so that I can do my best to repeat them and say them correctly. But I'll just stick with the first name, Ami. So I had a dream that I was getting a baby 3-year. Apparently the moms couldn't care for them, so they handed them to me. A baby, but them. I'm not a mom, but in the dream, a mom instinct was born in me, has had the same dream twice. So I'm just curious, because when you said this, see if I can get my head up above the little thing here. When you said this, I couldn't care for them, so they handed them to me. It's almost like there was a plural, but it starts out looking like it's singular. So that I'm trying to figure out if there's something to that. Is that just in the way that you wrote it? Was there actually more than one? Was there something specific for that? Take a drink of coffee while I'm thinking about it. And let's see. So one, the big thing is being handed something and then having something birthed in you. So you don't necessarily see yourself as equipped for what God is going to be giving you, but you're going to be handed something that you're going to be able to take care of. And in your acceptance of that responsibility, you will find within you everything that you need to accomplish it. So when you're given an opportunity and maybe you feel a little bit insecure, you feel a little bit ill-equipped, do not hold back, because God is going to put within you, draw up from what is already in you that he's given you from the beginning. And you will start to realize how you actually are a better fit for this than what you think when it first comes to you. So that is a lot of fun. Let's see. Peggy Height. I dreamt that my daughter told me she wasn't going to tell me, but she and her husband are going to Rota, Spain for 9 days. Then I woke up. Okay, so something that your daughter is doing that you haven't found out about yet. Excuse me, but you're going to find out about. Now, why Rota, Spain? Now, I wonder, that can mean different things for different people. So Rota, Spain, for me, is not a place in Spain that I'm familiar with. Obviously, I'm familiar with Spain, but not necessarily Rota, Spain. So you're familiar with it for some reason. What does it mean to you? Is that a place that you've vacationed before? Is that a place that you're familiar with? Is your family from there? Do you know people there? I'm not sure if you're in Europe or if you're here in the United States. Someone that is in Europe, you might be a little bit more familiar with it, or maybe it's just known to you as a destination. What does that mean to you? What's the first thing that comes up into your mind when you're thinking about Rota, Spain? That's going to give you a clue, right? But this is not something about you. This is something about your daughter. And the Lord's just giving you a heads up that there's some decisions being made that you don't know about yet, but at the right time, when you need to know, you will find out. So yeah, not a lot to add to that. Trying to figure out what Rota, Spain, if that is more symbolic. That it's only going for 9 days. That's a little thing. It's not a big thing. Maybe it feels like a big thing, but it's actually, that's not a big thing. Somebody going away for a little bit and then they're coming back. Maybe we would prefer them not to, but not that big of a deal. 9 days is just 9 days. So taking a look at it, again, it's giving you an understanding that this thing that maybe you don't know about yet, it's not a huge deal. It's a small deal. So We've got a question from Paula from Facebook. Sue, what do the numbers 328 mean? 328. So context could tell you some things. There's a few different ways. There's a few different ways to look at it. When you get three numbers, it seems to be the most common that people will see numbers in threes. And sometimes there's a repeated pattern. Here, there's no repeated pattern. It's not 333 or 222 or 888. It's 328. So you've got a couple different things that it could mean. You know, is it a possible date? March 28. That is one question. Now, if you're in Europe, that's not how you would do a month and a day. March 28, it would have been 283 rather than 328. So then that's not going to have the same meaning because that's not how it would fit into your culture. This, you did separate 3 and 28, not 32:8. So if you saw it on a clock, it may just be because the numbers 328 are the numbers that were important, not where the colon is placed on that. So if you're seeing it on a clock, then maybe you would look at not only 328 but also 32:8. That's a possibility. Sometimes it's a scripture verse. So taking a look at different Bible passages that have chapter 3, verse 28. And if that doesn't work, looking at Bible passages that have chapter 32, verse 8. The great thing is if you have a Bible app, it's so much easier to find those now. It used to be you had to scroll through, like if you didn't know how many chapters were in each book, you'd have to look at every book and find out if there's chapter 32. But a lot of times when it is a scripture verse, there'll be some type of consistency. For some reason, it tends to be the book of Isaiah or the book of John. And then other than that, sometimes the book of Luke in the New Testament, sometimes the book of Psalms in the Old Testament. Those are the first 4 places that I look, and then I start looking everywhere else. And what I'm doing is I read the verse that's there if I can find it. So if there's a chapter 3, verse 28, Luke has really long chapters, so it would make sense that there'd be 28 verses in Luke. I can't remember if there's 28 verses in chapter 3 of the Gospel of John. I actually think that there might not be. Psalm 32 verse 8 is very likely. Isaiah, again, you just have to look around and you read it and you're asking Holy Spirit, be careful that your soul doesn't get involved, because if your soul gets involved, then you can miss revelation. Oh, I like that. I want that. I need that. Those are soul responses versus feeling the Lord said, this is me. This is what I meant. And that's what you're looking for. You read through them. You're trying to get that sense, get that feel of what the Lord is saying through that. So that'll give you some ideas. And let's go to our next one. Dr. Clarissa Peter. I'm at a prayer meeting and the pastor prays for everyone and almost forgets me. Then she gets to me last and says, read Job 30. So there is, really the simple answer is there's something in Job 30 that the Lord wants to teach you. So this idea of being in a prayer meeting, there's communion with God, connection with God. Pastor could be leadership. Almost forgot you. Is that a feeling that you have? Is that a sense? Do you feel like you've been overlooked at different times? That could be revealing something that the Lord wants to speak to you about, maybe wants to heal. That would be a question that I have. But the important thing to pull away from this is there's something that God wants to show you in Job chapter 30. So again, you're going to read Job chapter 30 and you're not looking for what does my soul like out of this, But what is the Lord saying? Lord, would you show me, what are you saying out of Job 30? What are the key things that you want to look at? And depending on how, you want to read through it and you're asking that question, but depending on how impactful the dream was to you, like if you woke in the dream and you're like, this is important, I really need to understand this, then you're gonna spend a lot more time meditating, studying, and researching. If not, maybe it's just a principle that you need to have somewhere in the back of your mind. So as you're reading, as you're praying, as you're meditating, something lands. And when you feel like you've got what you're supposed to get out of Job 30, you don't have to keep going back there. But if you haven't felt that sense of, yeah, I figured it out, just keep on going back, because sometimes it's by doing things multiple times, it's settling something into our spirits that we're going to need for a later season. So that is that dream. Let's see here. Boy, lots of dreams. Okay, we've got another one from Facebook. Linda St. Clair Evans said, before 9/11, I saw the huge angels and also prayed for people on a plane prior to it happening. Yeah, cool. I love how God shows us what is going to happen and invites us into prayer and intercession for these things, even before they come to pass. Let's see, Bethany. Bethany, you wrote, from a hallway, I saw half Dutch door open with a pink Victorian kitchen inside. I stood on a ladder talking to English bakers in historic clothes. They asked how I could speak like a local. I felt embarrassed. They asked how I could speak like a local. So my question is, are they asking how you're able to speak like a local, or why you're not speaking like a local? I'm going to go with how you're able to speak with like a local, because that's how it was written in there. Seems like it might make more sense if it was the other, but it's not about what makes sense to us. It's about what God's saying. And that's one of the things we've got to be very careful with, is not trying to apply what we know outside of the dream into the dream to make the dream mean something. We've really got to catch those pieces of revelation and let the Lord give that clarification, not ours. So you've got Victorian kitchen, you've got historic clothing. So this is some type of a setting. Now, looking at your picture, it seems like you probably have some Anglo-Saxon background. So it's very likely that this has something to do with something in your bloodline, something from your history, something from your family's past that this is revealing. You've got a kitchen, and then you've got bakers. And so this is, kitchen is often where spiritual food is being prepared. So sometimes food is about spiritual food. Sometimes it's just about that we're learning things, not necessarily spiritual things, but just learning things. And we get that because the Bible talks about knowledge, and specifically doctrine, but knowledge in the metaphor of food. Some is milk and some is meat. And that, so we do have that kind of piece. But bakers, bread can also talk about revelation. Can also talk about healing, but it feels more like information. So basically, God is showing you something from your past, some things that are mindsets, some things that have been learned from the past. You're in a transition trying to go higher. You're on a ladder. So you're not at the same level as this. You actually have a better perspective, a higher perspective about it. And yet there's a connection with it, and you feel disconnected with that. And that's created some sense of embarrassment in how you interact, maybe with your family or other people. Maybe you don't feel like you completely fit in with people with that kind of a mindset, and you're starting to recognize and see that mindset and see where it came from your history. So pay attention to specifically how things that you that are assumed by those around you just don't really make sense to you, and realize that God is revealing something because you're at a different, you have a higher perspective about this, and he's showing you the roots of it. And why would he show you the roots of it? One, to give you understanding. That feeling of being embarrassed in this particular situation is just because that you see things different. You don't completely, like, you get it, and you can make sense of it, but you're also different, and you know that, which is not a bad thing. So it does feel like there's something else there that I don't completely get. It doesn't, like, I can see those pieces, but it doesn't feel like it's completely resolved. So I'm, ask the Lord to show you what else is there that he is pulling out. One of the, it's a detail, but sometimes details have a lot of meaning. One of the details on there is that it was a pink Victorian kitchen, and pink can sometimes talk about passion. So this may not just be a mindset, it actually might be an emotional mindset, or a pattern of emotional behavior. Okay, not sure where else to go with that, so we'll go to our next one. Let's see here. Andrew, Vera. I was in a shack close to the beach when all of a sudden it started raining lobsters. I went out and started filling up my bucket with lobsters. So you've got a couple different things. One, a shack by the beach is very different than a mansion by the beach. So you're in a good environment, but a shack, it's temporary. It's not as costly as some other things. So there's an economic piece to this. And part of the reason I bring that up is just because raining lobsters, the idea of lobsters are not something, if you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to go get a 3-pound lobster tail at a restaurant, right? It's something that's very nice. It's a blessing. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Well, because it's more expensive, there's a value to it. And why the beach? It's almost like there's a sense of being relaxed. You're okay with what you have, and maybe you don't have as much as others, but God is going to provide supernaturally in the location that you're at. In this whole thing, I mean, lobsters do not rain from heaven. But there's going to be more than enough for you to fill up all your buckets, to have everything that you need to move forward, to sustain yourself, not just to sustain yourself, but to really enjoy it. There's abundant blessings coming in the season that you're in. Yeah. So one of the interesting things about just thinking about that particular dream is lobsters are an unclean animal. And so usually in dreams, things that are unclean, that are said that they were not supposed to be eaten according to the Mosaic law, that those things tend to have a negative meaning in dreams. Not all the time. Obviously, we just looked at an exception to that, but they do tend to have a negative meaning. And lobsters, there's a lot of negative metaphors that could be there. I mean, bottom feeders. So they're, they eat the garbage and the refuse from all the other animals in the sea. So there's a negativity there. There's the hard shell, and they hurt with their huge claws that clamp down and create pain. And yet in this context, that's not what it was about. And so you have to be careful with what we call interpretive legalism. Well, this always means this. The dream itself will give you context to help you understand what the different elements in the dream might mean. So pay attention to that. It's one of those keys that are really going to help you. Well, I want to make sure that you guys know that we are doing Streams Academy this year completely online, wherever you are at. You know, I know we had somebody on from China that was wondering if they were going to be able to stay up through this whole thing because it's really late. We've got some people from Europe as well as here in North America, and I think South America. We have people from all over. And the beautiful thing about doing Streams Academy online is you can do it on your own time frame. The videos, the class time are on-demand videos. You get to watch them. You get your manual. You're able to work through those materials. There's homework for each of the units. And then every 2 weeks, we get together with a live Zoom. So one of our Streams teachers or myself, we get on a live Zoom and we answer questions for all the students. We have 2 different options so that no matter what time zone that you're in, there's an option that'll work for you. We have one that's 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Texas. It's 7 p.m. on Wednesday, which would be early morning for somebody in China, but it makes it very available for anybody in North or South America. But then we also have one for the same material that happens that Saturday at 10 a.m. And that one is available. So, you know, people in Europe, people in Africa, that one works a lot better. So we've got some people from Australia, from New Zealand that are part of these classes, and they're really good. We're starting our next module March the 1st. Our next module is New Creation Realities, understanding how to walk in the Spirit and what it actually means to be a new creation. We're going to look in depth. One of the things that I was mentioning during this dream interpretation was separating out the response of the soul from the response of the Spirit. And for some of us, that's something that we're familiar with. Some of us have never really thought through or really been taught how to do that, or how to grow our spirit so that it's easier to do that. And we're automatically moving towards responding by the Spirit rather than the soul. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how the soul can actually create false revelation. And we're going to explain that process, what that looks like, and help you to grow in your discernment for the things that you're wondering if the Lord is speaking to you, but also the things that you hear from others, giving some understanding. We'll even talk a little bit about false prophets and how to recognize those. So we're going to be going in depth into the spiritual life and what it really means to be a new creation and some of the potential that's available through that. It is one of those things that once you learn, it will completely change the way that you interact with the world around you. And it'll really change the way that you interact with revelation and the revelatory gifting. It's going to really help you. And I would love for you guys to join us. So take a look, streamstraining.com. If you can't remember that, just go to our website, streamsministries.com, and you'll find the link for training, and you'll see streamstraining.com. Look up Module 2. We're going to be starting that. Registration is open right now, but we're going to be starting that March the 1st, and that's going to be available. And one of the really fun things that we've got going on is this year we're doing 3 prophetic conferences here in Dallas, Texas. The first one is coming up at the end of April, third week of April, 22nd and the 23rd. But if you are in Streams Academy for Module 1 or Module 2 this year, or you've completed all 6 modules of Streams Academy, we have 2 special meetings that are available with one of our speakers and myself at that conference that's exclusive only for Streams Academy. So if you're able to be a part of that, we would love for you to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do one more dream, and then we're going to wrap up today. Okay, let's see. Here's the most recent dream. This is from, I'm not going to slaughter your name, from Noma. I'll just start with the first few letters. I hope that's okay. I just hate to say it completely wrong and mess it up too much. So I'm going to call that good. You're on the screen, so you know who you are. Let's see. I dreamt that there were keys in my mother's house. Everyone was outside and none knew how to get the keys out. I went there and skillfully removed the kitchen door panels and reached out for the key. So keys talk about authority. They talk about access. Your mom talks about something that you inherited from your mom, something that your mom had responsibility for, authority over. And a lot of people recognize that there was something special there, but nobody's really been able to access it. But the Lord is going to give you access to that thing. It's something precious. It's something valuable, but you're going to know how to access it. And you're going to be able to find those keys that God gave to your mom that were beautiful. This is part of your inheritance. Wow. What a dream to end with. I can only imagine how encouraging that was. Yeah. Can I pin the link? I will put up the link in our YouTube channel as soon as we finish this live, and you'll see it on this video as soon as we finish this live. So we will, if I put it up right now, it only shows up in this chat. I'll actually do it here as well, just so that you have it. So this is here, and this will actually should pop up into all of the, yep, looks like it went. An error occurred. Wait a moment, and then try again. Maybe not. It went to most places, but one of the Facebook channels it didn't go to. So if you don't see it, streamstraining.com, you'll be able to find that, and we'll make that available. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. As always, we always have so many dreams that we're not able to get to. Just Ice let me know that it is here up on YouTube. That's wonderful. We appreciate the opportunity to help people hear God better. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to accomplish. And your prayers, your support, you guys letting people know about what we're doing, sharing these videos, subscribing to our channel, it all helps to get the word out so that we can help more people. What God's given us to do is to help people hear God better. And this is one of the ways that we're doing that. If you want to be a part of supporting that, go to our website, streamsministries.com. And there's an opportunity. There's a place where you can give, where you could be a monthly partner. Our monthly partners are heroes. They're helping us be able to do these videos, be able to have the capacity to be here and make this available to you guys. And so if you found it a blessing, maybe the Lord would call you to help support us so that we can continue doing this as we move forward. Streamsministries.com, just click the donate button on the top right-hand corner. Guys, bless you. Have an astounding day. We will see you the next time we do a live broadcast. Take care.